You remembered. Woo!
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Elaine Bryan. Thanks for being here today. I just wanted to thank you for coming in. I know a lot of people had a crazy schedule today, so there's a lot of people say, please send me the recording of this about the Tower Gardens and how to grow your own herbs and plants. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm recording it. So if you missed it, you're watching the recording. Thank you so much for wanting to learn a little bit more about how to grow on vertical tower gardens or even just growing in general. So I'll cover a couple different ideas. I've got Kathy and Ginny with me today. Thank you guys for joining. And let's get started. I'm super excited about sharing. You can actually see a tower garden right behind me that is empty right now. I took all the plants out. I had tons of vegetables. Mostly it was all lettuces. It was totally big and green just recently, but I thought it'd be really great for you guys to see what it looks like when it's taken apart, or at least the plants are taken out. And next to me, I'm pointing to my seedlings that I'm growing so that you can put your own seedlings and just pop them in when you're ready to grow. So I'm going to share my screen and let's get started so that you guys can learn a little bit about how to grow on your own tower gardens and the reasons why it's so important. There we go. I think everybody can see my screen. I'm just going to do the view slideshow. It's different now than it used to be. So let me see if I could find out how to get it to do one slide at a time. Gosh, it's not, let's see, view. Sorry about that, you guys. Let me just see if I can slideshow it. Play from the start. There we go. It was a little different than it used to be. So what is a tower garden and how do we grow our own herbs and plants? This last year has just been a huge time for people that want to grow their own food. They wanted to take control of their own food. They wanted to make sure that they're using less water, and just know that they have food safety and that they can get to the food, especially plants, as fast as they can without having to go to the store, without knowing what's planted or put on their plants. So this is just a great option. A lot of people choose to grow in the ground, which is great if you can have. I'm going to cover a couple different ways that you can grow. A raised bed. It takes a little bit of work because you have to make sure that you line, especially in California, we have to line the bottom with mesh so that the gophers and other animals can't come up and get to the plants. We also have issues with, you have to have watering system on there, because I have a couple of people that left their houses and they've been hand watering their, on a trip, and they're hand watering their garden. And then there's nobody to water their garden while they're gone. So there's just a couple different things that we have to work with. And then the soil amendments have to take a little bit of time as well too. You can grow in pots on the ground, but you have to make sure you have a drip system to water those, because a lot of us forget to water them. And there's also little burlap bags. You can grow in bags, but then they line up on a patio, or you can only have one plant in a bag or a couple different plants. So that's why the vertical tower gardens came around as a great option to grow more plants vertically and aeroponically without having to work with the soil. But we want to make sure we're not losing things in the process when we do aeroponic gardening. So when they came out about 12 years ago, my husband said, what is that crazy contraption that you just bought? And we were growing in the beds, the raised beds. And he said, let's do about a month's time and game on. I'll do the raised bed. You plant the same things in the tower garden. Let's see how it goes. So we did that. And at the end of the 30 days or around that time, my husband's like, what the heck is going on? I've got problems in the garden. This isn't growing. The squirrels or the gophers got this. And your tower garden looks amazing, because they grow 30 to 40% faster than a normal garden. So we were able to just say, yes, this is really making a big difference. And we loved it. And we love the sound of it. So what is a tower garden? It's a vertical aeroponic growing system. Aeroponic means, there's hydroponic where the roots are actually sitting in the water. Aeroponic means that they're fed by the nutrient, water, and air. So the air is moving through the tower garden on the inside, and also the water is circulating through with the natural earth minerals. So the tower comes with natural all earth minerals that are mimicking the soil so that the plants get those nutrients to the roots pretty quickly. That's why they grow 30 to 40% faster than a normal garden. You do have to plug it in. has to have a small pump in the bottom so that the water can pump up through the middle and rain down on the roots. It actually has a timer that comes with it that's set. You set it to O for an outside tower or I for an inside tower, which is really great and easy to do. That's the thing about the tower gardens. When Tim Blank developed them, he wanted to make sure he first grew them commercially, but then when they came out as residential ones that we can use, he wanted to make sure it's easy to use. People didn't have to have a green thumb because a lot of people say, I can't grow plants. And that was my story too. I had a hard time growing plants and keeping them alive, but I've really worked really easy with these tower gardens. It just takes a little bit of just knowing how to plant things on the tower. I usually help people out quite a bit. So do my partners that help me move those tower gardens and get them into people's yards. It's really fun to see people grow. So Tim Blank worked for Epcot there in Florida for years, and they were growing horizontally, and they started to grow some things vertically, and he thought, this is the wave of the future. And so he quit Epcot as a horticulturist and botanist, and he said, I'm going to develop my own tower garden. And so commercially, like I said, he started a company called Future Growing, and he started to put them on rooftops of restaurants in downtown New York, the Chicago O'Hare Airport, all kinds of different commercial installations. Those towers were 11 feet tall. And they had to have a certain setup to grow a lot of them together commercially, which they're done all around the world now. And once he did that, he said, I really want to help people get these in their own yards and their own balconies residentially. So he teamed up with the company that I've been working with for the last 21 years, the Juice Plus company. They saw the vision about what this was, another way to get more fruits and vegetables easily into the body. And he said, this is what we're going to do. So we brought those on and we did a test market with a couple of our partners. It was so successful. Now for the last 12 years, we've been sharing them with other people and getting them all around the world. And you're going to see some installations. So you see the bigger picture about what's happening with these tower gardens. Let me move on to the next one. Somehow, let's see. Yeah, there we go. So the tower garden, again, has no dirt, 90% less water. Now they say it's 95, 98%. If you're in a hotter weather, it's definitely maybe going to make a little bit of difference, so that it might use the water a little bit faster in the hotter weather, but there are definitely ways to grow in any type of climate. 90% less space because you're growing vertically. I've had people put it on a little balcony in one bedroom apartment or even inside their apartment. Usually 100% success. Like I said, it's just a little bit of a learning curve, super easy to do. You can see this tower has all tomatoes. So you can do all the tower in one thing that you really love, or you can have a whole big variety of different things on one tower. You can have squash and tomatoes on the bottom. You can have fennel. You can have cabbages. It depends on the time of year and where you are. So I usually help people. And we have a great blog that tells you what things are best to grow in the summer, the fall, the winter. But usually, if you could have lettuces on the top or even edible flowers, I have some borage and calendula flowers on the top of one of my towers right now. It's just really beautiful. It's like a piece of art. But they're easy to garden. They're easy to install. They're easy to maintain. No dirt, no weeds, which is another issue that people have in the ground as well. Don't get me wrong, I love digging in the dirt, but this is another great option. Even if people have a yard and they have raised beds, they can put this on the patio or a balcony and grow more in just a different way. And it sounds really beautiful when the water's trickling down. So it is less climate sensitive, but there are ways to kind of pull that closer to the house in the hot weather with a patio cover over them. So even people in the hot weather, like my sister in Tucson, I have people in Vegas, they can grow in the summer. There's just certain things that, lettuces that are very fragile, they probably wouldn't want to grow. Basil goes crazy. But if they can pull it with the wheels underneath the patio cover and keep it out of that hot sun, where a normal garden they wouldn't be able to grow, they can grow on these. So that's a little bit about that. So it's environmentally friendly, less water, less land, and you control what you spray on there. I usually do not have to I don't put pesticides and herbicides on my tower garden. I spray it down with water. That's the best way. Let the wind move through things to keep any bugs off of it. Spray it down with water, knock off anything that might have settled in on it. But you also can use natural neem oil. Some people use essential oil blends to spray on it. We even have a tip for, especially here in California, when we grow cucumbers or squashes, sometimes the leaves can get powdery mildew. So we spray that down with either baking soda and water or a little bit of milk. So that's a tip whether you grow in the ground or whether you grow in a tower garden. There's always the possibility of something coming onto your plants, but we have easy ways to take care of that. You can just pull them out, rinse them off, and put them back in. That's another great thing about it. The great thing about the tower garden as well is if you move, it goes with you. You can just take it down and move it around. So that's really amazing, where people, if they have a whole yard with something and they're moving a little bit, then it's hard to take it with them. So it was in Better Homes and Gardens, the Mindful Gardener. This is a couple of years ago. I love that they highlighted our beautiful tower gardens. It has been written up in a number of different publications and magazines about a great way to grow. You can see they have a wheel kit on the bottom. One of them has our nice support cage because it's got some viney things, like if it has tomatoes or something viney, it's nice to have something rest on, rest the plants on so that they're not just falling all on the ground. But you can see they have a sage green bottom. The reason why they're white there is to reflect the sun. Some people said, why can't it be painted black? Why can't it be painted green? I'm like, it's white because we want it to reflect the sun so the plants can get more sun. They need to have those ultraviolet rays. But also when you start growing on it, you see the green instead of a lot of the white. So you get used to that. It's just a beautiful tower garden the way it looks as well. You'll see the other model, the home model. This is our flex model. And that first ones that came out, but you'll also see the new home one that is white on the bottom and has a smaller bottom and built-in wheels on it. So you'll see that. Here's me with a picture of the 5-foot tall one. The normal 5-foot tall one that you can get grows 20 different plants. I'm tall, so it looks short. I'm 6 foot tall. But this is just how you can grow those different lettuces and anything you want to grow, really. Except for the only thing you can't grow are things that you would normally grow in the ground, like carrots and beets and daikon radishes and things like that. Although people have done some of those in the tower garden. They've grown celeries and, like I said, fennel, all kinds of different things. And there's kale there. It's nice to try different things that you haven't ever tried before. It's really fun to have different plants that you can try. I've got parsley out there right now. I still have collard greens, but they don't like the hot weather. So we'll be pulling those out and eating those pretty soon too. So there's me picking some vegetables. That's the beauty about it too. You can go out and pick whenever you're going to use it. How many of you guys buy vegetables, even at a farmer's market, put it in your crisper drawer, and then you pull it out, a week later and you're like, what was this? It gets slimy and it doesn't get used as well. So and it loses a lot of its nutrition once it's picked. So this is beautiful. You can go out and say, I'm going to make a kale salad tonight. So I'm picking my kale right before I'm making my salad. And that's beautiful to be able to just pick off as you want to use it. Same thing with the lettuce. You'll see at the bottom here, there's a whole lettuce head. You can pull the whole thing out at one time and use the whole head of lettuce. But a lot of times I just cut from the bottom some of the leaves and keep the middle part where that's where a lot of the plant grows more, and it'll just keep growing back. Usually with lettuces, it'll grow 2 or 3 times more when you cut, and then you can tell when it's done. The more it starts bolting, the more it gets bitter, and then the leaves don't taste as well. Lettuces might not last as long, especially in the heat, as maybe a big thing of kale, or of course the tomatoes. So if you have the lettuces on the tower garden, tomatoes on the bottom, I have a tomato plant that's been on my tower for a year. Last summer, I planted it at the beginning of the summer, and it's still giving me tomatoes. It went dormant for a while during the winter, started producing again like in January. So I've got more tomatoes on there. It's looking a little viney. I trim it and take the suckers off of it, but I've got things on the top of the tower that I've used the lettuces. I change them out. So you can pull out these, you can order seedlings for the towers. If you're local, I provide you with those. If you want to buy those for me, the first 20 you get are usually free from me if you live local, or any of my partners that are in this area. I will help their customers out that way as well. And then after that, I just sell them for $1 each. But I teach people how to grow their own seedlings for their plants or for their towers as well. Super easy to do, but it takes a little bit of time to understand how to germinate them and go from there. This is one of my friend's tower. I love this picture I took years ago. She had been on a trip for 2 weeks in the Bahamas. She told her sons, who were teenagers, to watch her tower gardens and water them, which they did not do. She had topped them off before she left on a trip, and she came home, and this is how they looked. So Jerry bought a tower garden at first because she wanted to grow. She wanted to control her own food. She was tired of worrying about what she was buying for her and her boys. She got one. It was so successful. She said, I'm truly a gardener. Now I'm going to grow in the ground. She tried an in-ground garden. The only thing that lived seriously was some mint. And she said, I guess I'm not a gardener, but the tower gardens I'm successful with. So I'm buying a second tower garden. And she planted, look at these Swiss chard leaves. She said, I measured them, Elaine. They were about 2 feet long. The collard greens were huge. The nasturtium flowers, edible flowers, were beautiful. So many different things. It's like a work of art, when you grow on these things. And you can see one of them has a wheel kit on the bottom. One of them does not. So there's options of being able to buy on the Flex Tower Garden a wheel kit so you can move it around or not. Most of my towers, I just keep stationary in one place. I don't have to move them around, but a lot of people in hot weather might want to move them back and forth between the sun and the shade. Here is some kale, curly kale that I do a lot of kale chips with. You can see there's some chives on the bottom down there. It was so covered up with all of these collard greens. Collard greens went crazy on the tower garden. During the fall is when they usually do the best. There's our backyard. We got rid of the dirt. We got rid of the grass. We put in some DG. It looks like dirt. And then my husband put on some pallets to put them down on, but now he covered one with some black material. We've taken that off since then, and we just kind of raise them up. Some of them are right on the raised, right on the DG. Some of them are raised up a little bit on these pallets, but we lined them up in our backyard. What a great way with not having to have to put all these different raised beds down there with paths to go in between them. That'd be great. We have that on the other side of the yard. But this one, we've got these nice tower gardens. There's 6 of them lined up. We started with one and we're overachievers, and we just kept, using them and buying them. So we eat a lot of plants. They're not all going at the same time. I rotate them out, but you can start with one. You can only have one depending on how many people in your family, but you can get more than that as well. We have a nice deal on buying 3 at one time. So some people choose to do the trio, and they get a lot of great things thrown in with the package deal when they buy the 3 at one time. But just start off easy, whatever works for you. I like to do an interview with people. Where do you want to put it? Where do you vision this? How many people are you growing for? What do you want to grow? Can you grow inside? Can you grow outside? So then we know exactly what to have people get. There's a Flex tower right off the patio. If you put it on a patio, on the cement, it heats up faster. So it's good to have a wheel kit underneath it or a piece of wood underneath it. If you're going to put it on a patio in the summertime, I put it off on the dirt one time, and that's where I was growing this one, and just giving you some pictures of some of the ideas. One of the new ones that we came out with was the Tower Garden Home. That's the beauty about it. We get a lot of feedback from people. What works? What are they looking for? And one of the ideas was, hey, we want to grow inside the house, but we need a smaller bottom that we can move it around easier, or we have a smaller kitchen. So the home one was designed as a smaller bottom, holds 13 gallons of water instead of 20 as the other Flex one does. It's got a built-in wheel kit. It's lighter. It can also be made, and at the top of it, it has 2 rows of our baby greens extension. So it actually has 32 spots for plants on it. But some people say, well, I'd like to, maybe I'm only, growing for myself. And they say, I'd like to have a little bit less than that. You can actually change this tower to only be 3 feet tall and have just a smaller amount of plants. And so that, me as a partner showing people and doing demos on it, I now have a tower that I can fit standing up in my car to bring with me someplace, put a little water in the bottom and turn on the pump and show people how you can grow and eat off of your own tower. So it's a great dual purpose for that. People can make it, like I said, 3 feet tall, use it as a regular 50 or 32 spots on it, which it's more about 5 feet tall that way. And it's just a great unit to put inside a house in a kitchen. My brother lives in Arizona. He has so much heat. It's going to be 111 there for 4 or 5 days in the row this week. The low is going to be 82. So he's got his growing in his house. He's got grow lights on it. So if you grow it inside, it should have grow lights on it so that it does have those ultraviolet rays. Super important. A lot of people say, well, it's near a sunny window or it's in a sunroom, should be fine. It won't grow as well as it needs to. It really won't, and without the grow light kit on it. Our grow light kit was made directly for the tower garden so that there's lights from the top to the bottom, so your plants really have more chance to grow. So if you're in hot weather, or if it's, say, the summer, you can bring it inside, grow a season in the summer, and then when it starts to cool off, you just bring it outside and start growing outside. So there's lots of different versatility with this tower as well. And we have the microgreens extension kit. They're now calling it baby greens because it got a little confusing. People thinking, okay, is it microgreens, baby greens? It's just a smaller hole. You don't need to have what we call our net pot or clips to hold the rock wool cube in there. You just drop it down in there. Everything's grown in a rock wool cube. Sometimes it comes in coconair. It's a little bit way to hold the seed in to grow it. The cocoa fibers comes from usually the Tower Garden. What's it called? It's out in Phoenix. I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember. But it's another one of our approved seedling growers. They grow it in that. It kind of has a consistency. It seems to me like sometimes like dirt. So I like to use the Rockwool cubes, and those come with the tower. Super easy to plant in those. And then you can just drop them right into this. These plants could be small to just take off and put on top, very nutritious to put on top of food, or sometimes mine get a little bigger and they look like you can't see the white at all. So it just depends on what you do, what you plant up there. I usually plant little herbs or basil, a little bit of chives, arugula, so then I can cut them off when they're small. It's really fun to do. Again, it could be on a patio. It could be, a lot of people grow that upstairs on a patio. So that when they walk off their master bedroom, they've got that there. I know Jenny grows hers off her patio. Super easy to do. And then you can just sit by it and enjoy it, hear the sounds of the water coming down. It's very soothing. There's a cabbage. A lot of people say, what can I grow? So I'm gonna give you a little bit of an idea what you can grow. Cabbages can grow on the tower garden. I have broccoli growing on mine until recently when it got really hot. Squashes, I have a bunch of back here. There's some seedlings back here. I have some yellow crooked squash like that growing. I've grown the scallop, the white scallop squashes, cucumbers. Let's see, eggplant does really well on the tower garden. I did eggplants. There's me at a yoga center a couple of years ago. We grew it out on the patio. We knew that we couldn't grow it in front of the studio. So there's a little patio in the back with another older building next to it. It didn't get a lot of sun, but we still grew some flowers. We were able to grow quite a few things. And that was just an amaranth plant. We thought that was a really interesting one to grow on it. So we just tried some different things on that tower garden. And then this one I just thought was funny. I saw this, somebody posted this and it's like, where's the tower garden? You can kind of see it behind there, but it's some type of squash and the leaves just took over. So you can see that it can grow quite a big plants on it. I've seen some pretty crazy things that people grow in their tower gardens. And sometimes they take our extensions and add a little bit more on and they make their tower garden 11 feet tall. So there's lots of different options. There was in Montecito Farms up in Santa Barbara area, they had 130, and that's where you see a lot of these urban farms popping up everywhere. All the colleges here in Southern California have them. UCLA, USC, I think Long Beach, a lot of them now. San Clemente has their own little urban garden up there. And they just grow them, about 130 of them in a small space. Santa Barbara, Montecito Farms was growing these vegetables for a lot of the restaurants there in Santa Barbara. Wanted fresh vegetables delivered to them. So they were growing them on the vertical tower gardens. And this is just the one when you walked in. So it has a nasturtium at the top. I just thought it was pretty to show everybody. There's one that was just getting going in my backyard with quite a few different things growing on it. Arugula is really fun on it. I also can grow them inside. Anybody can grow them inside. This was at a Humble Olive Oil downtown Carlsbad. This is our old installation, the way that we had our light kit before. It had to be installed on our support cage, but it's just so beautiful. I just wanted to show you guys with the colors of everything growing on it. We noticed that the plants would hit the lights pretty easy once they got big with this older installation of the lights. So now we have a new light kit that actually has bendable LED bars, and I'll show you that one. Sometimes people choose to grow in inside greenhouses. That way, especially in Florida, they don't have any bugs or things like that getting to it. They can control their environment. So we do have people that put them in greenhouses to grow them. Lots of different ways to install them. I also had a couple people talking to me about their homeowners association for their building, bought a couple tower gardens. They keep it by the clubhouse. They put a little installation around it so nobody could take the towers or bug them. But they also, on Saturdays, they have everybody can come over and they pay a little bit of money for them to cut some of the vegetables off to give to them to help pay for their tower gardens. People love it. The homeowners association were really smart. They bought the trio, so they have all three of them. And then they're able to pay themselves back by having people take some of the vegetables and paying for some of them. So it's really fun for the whole community too, to have those. Here's the Chicago O'Hare Airport, one of the first commercial installations. They have the actual grow lights at the very top because it's a commercial installation. It's a little different. If you go there, you'd have to check out the installation there. They grow for the vegetables for the restaurants that are there in Chicago O'Hare Airport. Really exciting to see this new technology. And I want to tell you too, is that a lot of people are saying, did we lose anything in the process of not using dirt? We're using natural earth minerals that mimic the soil. It took Tim Blank over 5 years to really develop it, to make sure that they were safe, all natural minerals that mimic the earth. So there's an A and B nutrients that we put in there once a week just to make sure that they have their nutrients. But we did a study at University of Mississippi to show that they were just as nutritious as growing in the soil. So if anybody wants to see that, that is actually posted on our website as well. So you can find that study. Here's another commercial tower farm. I'd love to see all these growing at one time. Sometimes they're in different stages, just starting off, but this one's, everything was growing at one time. There's another one in Ibiza, Spain that I love to follow on Instagram, and they grow so many amazing plants. And they just had the whole installation of all these big, beautiful Lola Rosa lettuces. So beautiful to see them growing in that way. I think the Chef Emerald on a rooftop of a restaurant where they lined them all up. Look at those squashes that he is pulling off of the tower garden to use in his cooking. So pretty exciting. That gives you an idea of what that installation looks like and what the plants can look like growing on there. There's Clinton. A number of years ago, we started a homeless shelter in LA. They lined up the whole patio. The next picture will show you what that looks like. And they started growing on these vertical tower gardens, a lot of them to feed the homeless in LA. There's what that looks like when they got done with it, putting that installation up on the rooftop. Pretty amazing that we can do that. There's no way they could have done that with, soil and everything else in big raised beds. There's no way that they would have had the room or the weight of all those on there. This is the urban farm in Montecito. Like I said, they can do the whole tower garden. Could be Italian parsley. Whole tower garden can be like bok choy. You can do everything the same thing or a big variety. Scissor Tail Farms in Oklahoma, 1,368 towers, 62,000 slots for plants. Isn't that amazing? So what they've done with a lot of warehouses that are empty, they've taken them over and put in tower gardens. And they grow vegetables for the whole city, and they can sell it to the people at farmers markets and things like that too. So what a great way to use space, and have to, when they have droughts or they have weather, they can control it all by having them all inside. So this is just a snippet of what's going on with all the commercial towers as well. And like I said, you can grow a lot of different plants. There's a cabbage. I thought this was a funny one too that I saw. I'm like, what is that? It looks like a vine of some kind, but I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's growing pretty successfully. I just thought I'd show you guys that. I love to look at these funny different installations that people have. AT&T Park. That one is in San Francisco Candlestick Park, and they decided to have a space for growing for their restaurants there, and just to show people how they can grow. We're back to sustainability, growing your own. Victory Garden. So in 2013, they saw the vision of growing their own garden. So you can see some raised beds, but they have the tower gardens back there as well to show people that that is a great option and a great easy way to grow without a lot of space. So they have 19 towers. This is another rooftop installation. You can see how they grow. I like people to just see what the vision is of how they can grow, what they can grow. a quick little analysis. One of these urban farms kind of said, well, when you buy a tower garden, you just don't have to pay for the whole thing all at one time. The payment's usually $55 a month for 12 months, no interest. How fast does it pay you back to buy a tower garden? Well, they said with your growing and the price of, this was done years ago, but the price of the plants and how much yield there is, what they figured out the yield, in 6 months, you can pay yourself back easily. Sometimes people say it might be 8 months to a year, but I've had my same tower gardens for 12 years. And the cost once you have a tower garden is just the cost of the Rockwool cubes to grow the seeds in. Seed package you can pick up anywhere you want to. I always pick up non-GMO. But the Rockwool cubes, 98 of them is $19, including shipping. Super inexpensive. And then the nutrients are about $65 a year. That's it. So it's really cost effective as well. Garden of Eden tower, that's our backyard. We call it the Garden of Eden. Towers on the patio, the edible flowers. I love to show people the little viola flowers on there. I lined 3 towers up in a little kind of row there. It was really kind of fun to grow all together. Let's show you this one. This is what our new grow lights look like. It looks like a little, it goes on the top. That's where our timer is. And then the bendable LED lights come down around the plant. So that way you can move them close to the plant when it's new and small. And then when it gets a little bigger, you just move those lights a little bit further away so the plant doesn't get burned by the lights. Super easy, and it's super great. They give the plants all the way from the top of the plant to the bottom enough light to grow. That was a little bit about what that looks like. There's the tower garden home again. I didn't know that was in there twice. This is my friend Kathy. She's on here today. She's a happy tower garden customer. That's her dog Nash. Nash likes the tower garden, but he doesn't bother the plants. I think Jenny had cucumbers on the bottom of her tower garden, and her dog Stuart used to like to eat the cucumbers. But most of the time, the animals don't bother your plants. I have a lot of people saying, I have cats that'll ruin the whole thing. Well, if they even jump up on the top of it, they can only usually just chew a couple of little leaves. I'm super happy to share a couple of the leaves with my animals. My cat might eat a leaf or two, but that's okay with me. We usually don't have any other things bothering people. I do have one woman now that had squirrels in her backyard because she has huge pine trees and the squirrels are around. They just found her tower garden. So in that case, they climbed up and ate a few of her plants. So in that case, we would probably just put a little gate around it or something around it. So, but most people don't have an issue. There are people back in the other areas of the United States that they have deer. So people just kind of figured it out about what they need to do. I had one person here in Oceanside. She had one squirrel eating her tomatoes, and we couldn't get rid of the squirrel. So we just moved the tower garden to the front of her house, and she's perfectly happy and growing successfully. That squirrel hasn't figured out where that tower garden is. So you just have to work with it a little bit, just like any type of growing any plant. I also wanted to tell you that we do have plant-based free cookbooks. There's a tower garden cookbook. There's a scrumptious summer cookbook, a whole bunch of different ones. Talk with the person who invited you today. They can give you the website of how to access those free cookbooks with super easy recipes to grow your own. In fact, I do demos online of people growing their own plants, but also using those plants and how to put them together pretty quickly. So if you want that information about how to get into some of those plant-based classes, just let me know. Some of the people or partners on here that share the tower gardens also do their own demos on how to grow and also use those plants, because we can grow, but we want to know how to put those plants together to make them taste good, right? So that's another thing that we've got, is these free, easy recipes. Super happy to share them with people. The other thing, part of the company that shares the tower gardens had a vision for sharing more fruits and vegetables for people. So over 25 years ago, I partnered with them 21 years ago, but about 25, 26 years ago, they started with fruits and vegetables in a capsule form as a way to bridge the gap of getting your own. So besides growing on the tower gardens and eating as many plants as we can for our health, we want the fiber. And this is the thing about the fruits and vegetables in these, they actually grow them, vine ripen, throw them in a juicer. The whole plant goes in with all the fiber. That's really important. That fiber just gets absorbed into that whole pulp that goes into these dried powders. So it's the quality of the powders, most studied nutritional product in the world. It's got over 42, almost 43 studies on the power of what these do in the body with the gold standard research. So I just want to share with you that that's another way to bridge the gap to get more fruits and vegetables. We have a veggie one, a fruit one. They usually come together. You can also do grapes and berries. So you get 30 different plants into your body every single day. We also have the plant-based omegas with the 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Bypass the fish. Safer for your body, safer for the planet to have your omegas, your good oils into the body every single day. We actually fuse the capsules together. So we make sure we don't heat those capsules up and ruin those oils because they become really rancid or ruined when you actually heat them up. So some of these fish oils, when they actually put them together and fuse them together, might not be as safe for you, might not be as effective for you as maybe the plant omegas. So that's just another option. The other thing is that I just want to educate that we need to have more plants in the body to create what we call these postbiotics. Super amazing. You've heard prebiotics. You've heard all kinds of different ways to get probiotics in your body, prebiotics, postbiotics. The plants, the fibers actually create what they call short chain fatty acids, which are postbiotics that protect your health, help with lowering cholesterol, your heart health, cancer prevention, all kinds of things. So the American Gut Project was a challenge to get 30 different plants into your life every single week with a different diversity. So that's our goal, is to grow our own as much as we can, buy plants, whatever you can, eat as many as you possibly can, bridge the gap with 30 different fruits and vegetables every single day, which is amazing, with the fibers as best that we can to put them in the capsule. When you combine all that together, it should really make a big impact on your health. And that's what those studies were showing. Less damage to the DNA, better immune systems, less inflammation, heart health, gum health, you name it. It's been studied at the National Institutes of Health and also MD Anderson Cancer Center, and also other major research universities around the world. So it's important for me to just share with you about that. That's on my heart to share with everybody about the benefits of this. It also comes in a gummy form. So just want to say one more quick thing is that if you have any children, grandchildren, niece, nephew, anybody that you know that's a child between the ages of 4 and 18, or even a full-time college student, you go on the capsules or gummies, you sponsor them, they get theirs for free for up to 4 years. If they're 13 and above, they get the whole adult amount free. We as partners help pitch into that program so that product can be free for you. So that's what I want to say about that. Also, there are plant-powered online batch cooking classes. This is an older one I just posted in there, but you can contact me or whoever invited you on here can get in touch with you and let you know how to jump into some of those programs and learn a little bit more about how to prepare and use these foods, or they might also be doing them themselves. So check with them about that. So I'm going to stop my share. I'm so glad that you guys were able to be on today to learn a little bit about the tower gardens. You'll see behind me, that's my seedlings growing. We put them in a sunny window to germinate them. As soon as they start popping up, I bring them outside. I had these outside, but I brought them in so you could see them. And then we're able to just pop them right on the tower garden and grow. Like I said, 30 to 40% faster than a normal garden, 98% less water. We're in a drought here again in Southern California. It's really important to make sure that we are saving our water. This is the way the water is recycled through. And it's just a great option for you to grow your own plants and take control of your own produce intake. So that's a little bit about that. Does anybody have any questions? I know there's just a couple of you on here today. I'm trying to think of any questions people have asked me in the past before. Okay. Let me think if there's anything else that I can tell you about them. If you have any questions, contact me or whoever sent you this video so that they can answer those questions for you. Like I said, I've been growing on them for about 12 years. It's been so much fun. There's sometimes a crop will do really well, and sometimes it just isn't, just like a normal garden, it takes a little bit more work, but they're super easy. It's just plop them in there. And we have seedling providers all around the nation. So if you don't want to grow your own seedlings, which is totally fine, I do videos. I have a Tower Garden Support Facebook group to try to teach people things. You don't want to grow your own, you just want to order them. You can order them, they get sent to you in the mail. So you just go online to the website, go through the catalog, pick what you want to grow, get them sent in the mail and pop them in your tower. Cleaning out the tower every once in a while is important as well. We have ways to show you how to clean it out. I took all the plants out of this one because they were just done. And then I just wipe it down. Sometimes we can take those little white buckets apart, wipe it down. Sometimes we have to cut the roots out of there. And then we can just put it right back together again, make sure the water in the bottom is nice and clean. And then we can just start all over again. So sometimes I have people that haven't taken their towers down for a year to clean it out. And sometimes we take them down every 2-3 months. So it just depends on what you're growing, where you are, and what's happening with your tower. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Let us know if you have any questions. Everybody knows how to reach me. I do have a Grow Green Tower Support Facebook group if you want to become into that once you become a Tower Garden owner. Our website has a ton of information and blog on it. Mine is elaine.towergarden.com, or check with the person who invited you. They can give you their Tower Garden website. You can look at the blog for all kinds of tips on how to grow, what to grow. Super available. There's also a curriculum on there for schools. We put these in schools a lot. A lot of schools can get grants for the Tower Gardens. We have the grant information, but we also have curriculum so the kids can learn about how to grow and why to grow and how to grow hydroponically or aeroponically. So it's curriculum put together for like second graders, third graders, fourth graders. The teachers can actually print that out. It was done by Buck Institute and Seton Hall. So there's a whole great curriculum on there as well for schools. If you want more information about how to share it with people in different locations that you have around you, different installations, please reach out to us. If you want your own tower garden, reach out to us. We can help you with that. If you want to share it with other people, or people start asking you about your tower garden, we can help you show how you can share with your neighbors and other people in your life, how we can all start growing our own fruits and vegetables on our tower gardens. Thanks for being with us.